connect to MongoDB using Spring Data. So now let's use this Spring Boot project, and then we create a new module, and then we just call it Spring Data MongoDB demo, and then set up the basic information. Just be careful the information you put, because if you don't have the correct version of the JDK, it could cause issues. Okay, I'm using 11, so here I'm gonna choose 2. If you're using 17, make sure you use 3, okay, or 2. So for the dependencies, we choose NoSQL and then MongoDB here. Okay, just only one. We don't have any REST API in this demo, so just to connect to database. Okay, click on create, and it's supposed to use Maven to initialize the whole project, and now this thing is not working. So if it's not working for you, okay, and you can just simply redo it again. Okay, just remove the module, and then delete the project, and then just redo it again. So I don't know why, but sometimes it happens to me. Demo, use the same name. Okay, so com.entra.scp. Let's just call it Mongo. Okay. The SDK version, I think good. Version 2, NoSQL, MongoDB. Okay, and then create. Okay, so now it looks good. So it's initialized, and how to tell is like this icon. Okay, so if this icon become like a white paper and then question mark, then that means it doesn't recognize this as a Java code. Okay, but anyways, now let's start the project, and so everything is good, but it doesn't have our username, password, and which database to connect. It's just by default, it try to connect to localhost 27017. Okay, so in order to save something to the database, now let's just simply create some data entities. Okay, let's just use the manual. We can call it ingredient, and then for this one, we don't have entity or JPA annotations, but instead we have a document. Okay, so this is for MongoDB itself, okay, only. And in the document, we can indicate like which collection this class is representing. Okay, so we can have a value, okay, which is by default is actually the collection's name. Okay, so we can just call it ingredient. Okay, so this is by default the same name. All right, and then here we need ID. Okay, so the ID is a must. Okay, and then we can have a private, and then we can give it a string as ID, because by default MongoDB using the string format. Okay, and then give it a name. Okay, and then create getter setters. Okay, so then this is gonna be a data model we're trying to use to save our record, okay, to the MongoDB database. And because we don't have all the 3 layers, and so for here we just need to have a small executed method, so we can just call it a command line runner. So oops, okay, so this command line runner interface is supposed to get some parameters from the command line when we start the project, but for this one we can just use it as a test, okay, as an executor. So after the project is started, then this will try to execute something. So for here, then what we need to do is we can use a class called okay, you can just auto wire. Okay, so it's called the Mango template. Okay, MT. So this is the utility class, or you can say a gateway class, so we can use it to do manipulations to the database of MongoDB. Same as entity manager, okay, in the JPA. So here we can just empty dot. You can see here we have a lot of operations to the database. We can have count, execute, find, exist, and also we have insert, update, okay, and all those kind of save, remove. So let's just try to save one ingredient, okay, to the database. Let's say we create one ingredient, we just call it the ingredient equal to new ingredient, and then this ingredient's name, just set a name, okay, as apple, okay, and then we just put this ingredient here. So we don't have to set the ID, or even though we can, but the ID could be auto-generated by the database. Okay, so if we run the code, it will not work. Okay, first of all, it's because we didn't properly set up the database, so it will tell us that the command line failed, and it requires authentication, but we don't have such kind of authentication there. Okay, so we don't have the privilege. So in that case, we need to set up the application properties. Okay, so you don't have to remember the exact configuration. So if you use IntelliJ, just type MongoDB, and it will give us all those setups. Okay, some are default, like a port number, like a host. It has a default like localhost 27017. But some are not, like what's your password, right? So this cannot be. We have A, B, B, C, C, D, D. And also we have MongoDB username. So our username is SCP_training. Okay, so we set it up like last video. And also we have our database. Okay, so the MongoDB's database is SCP training. Okay, sorry, the username is SCP user. Okay, so by set up those three attributes, I think now the code should be running because all the necessary information is needed. Okay, so now you can see we don't have any errors. Go back to our robot 3T. Okay, or just type 3T, Studio 3T to change the name. So then just select our database and then go to this database. Now you can see we have a one collection and one ingredient. Okay, if we double click, then it will give us a document. Okay, that's the only document we have. And open this one, we have ID, right? So auto-generated. We have a name, the apple, and also we have a automated generated field. It's called underscore class. This is used by SpringData. It convert the class, okay, the class name. This is the class name. So you know, it's like in the project, this class name is representing this collection, okay, ingredient. All right, so this is the basic operation, connection to the database using SpringData MongoDB, and we're gonna have more operations in the next video. Okay, thanks.